Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
Welcome, as always. It's Anne Erickson. You're on my podcast, Audio Inc. Radio. And I have to admit that I've been kind of on vocal rest, just talking for things I have to do right now, I guess. I don't know if it's the wildfires with the Canadian, all that smoke, which at first it didn't seem to bother me too much, but then usually it takes a while for me to notice it. And suddenly my voice was really hurting and scratchy. I don't think I'm sick because I don't have a fever or anything, but it's also I've been doing a lot of radio stuff and a lot of singing with the new music coming out, with the Pine Wings, and with my solo project. So I don't know. But I don't know. I don't like being on vocal rest because I like talking, which is why I'm extra happy to take a break from vocal rest and talk with you right here on the podcast. Hope that everything is great with you and yours. As always, you rock. And don't forget that if you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, shame on you. You need to do that right now. Just search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next show featuring the biggest names in rock and metal music. And don't be shy. I would love to chat with you. I'd love to hook up with you. Just reach out to me on social media, Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Ann. Or it's much easier. Just head to my site, itsmeanne.com. That's ITSMEANNE.com. Itsmeanne.com to link up on social media. And then you can check out my post up there. I've got a post about some of my favorite areas for this time of year because it's summer, which I love summer and all that good stuff. But if you're listening in the summer, because who knows, maybe you are listening months after the interview happened. But regardless, I am really stoked as always with our guest. I know that you've heard the track More Than Words. It is such a legendary kind of rock ballad, right? And I don't know, I just feel like that song is timeless. And no matter how many times I hear it, it always gives me a good feeling. It always makes me feel good. And for me, the thing about music I love is when there is music that can make me feel something, even if it makes me feel sad or whatever, even if it's not a good emotion. I just love music that drums up some kind of emotion in me. And More Than Words makes me feel good. It makes me feel a little bit longing. I don't know. It's kind of a love song, but kind of not a love song. So it's kind of saying actions mean more than the word love, which I think is true. But anyway, I've got Nuno from Extreme on the show. They've just got a new record out called 6, which I love, by the way. I reviewed it. I gave it a very high score because I think they sound awesome on here. I mean, they sound as great as they did, at least on all the older stuff that I've heard back in the day. I'm trying to say, even though I didn't really hear them back in the day, but when I listen back to their old stuff, the sound's just as good. It sounds like Extreme, but it's definitely to the next level of Extreme. And maybe fun fact you did not know, but Nuno is actually the guitarist for Rihanna. You may have heard of her. Of course you've heard of her. It's Rihanna. She's amazing. He is her touring guitarist, which is really cool. I mean, they came to him and they were like, Rihanna's a big fan and she wants you to be her touring guitarist, which is neat because obviously in pop music, you don't think a guitar even being there, but on tour live, he just rocks it out and just kills it every night with her, which is really cool. So I want to talk with him about Extreme, what's going on with them, which it's been 15 years, I think, since their last record, and talk about what's it like going on tour with Rihanna. It's got to be crazy. And I admit, I'm a rock and metal chick, but when it comes to pop, Rihanna and Christina Aguilera, both of them, I just adore. I think they're amazing. And with Rihanna, that Diamonds track, every time I hear it, it's another one that just makes me feel good. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. So Also, hey, don't forget that if you want to be part of the private community, get more content, all that good stuff, join my private Patreon page at Anne Autumn, and you can find the link in the show description. All right, let's get into it. The great Nuno from Extreme.
Hey, this is Nuno Bettencourt of Extreme, and you are listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson. Turn it up, way up.
It's great to chat with you. How are you doing? You mentioned that you just had some surgery.
Yeah, I busted up my knee a bit while I was on tour doing some dumb, ridiculous celebrity basketball game that I had no business doing, and had to cancel a couple of shows. But I tore my ACL and everything. I need like major surgery, but I went in yesterday at least to do some minor surgery on it, so I could still get through all the August, September, October, November dates, so I don't have to cancel anything. So that I just wanted to at least get a portion of it because I messed up a couple of things. But here I am.
Yeah, no, I remember reading about that. I did not know it was that serious. So definitely sending you some well wishes.
Thanks. Yeah, it was pretty. I completely tore my ACL and my meniscus and everything, and sprained my MCL. So it was a big one.
Oh, wow. Well, in better news, you have an awesome new record out, 6. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now that it's been out a little while, how would you describe the fan response to it?
Well, I mean, going back to obviously when the singles were coming out, it was pretty ridiculous. The response we were getting was super exciting and surprising, humbling. But, you always kind of go for blood on your albums. It's always what you expect and what you go for with that kind of response, but you don't always get it, So just with Rise and Banshee and the other 2 singles that came out, it was just overwhelming and just incredible. Like just what a beautiful thing to be able to even, late in your career, you can kind of get that kind of response. As far as the album goes, I haven't been reading that much. I've been kind of crazed and, haven't been reading much about the responses, but all the press I've been doing, which is 3 or 4 a day, everybody's, whether they're bullshitting me or not, I don't know, but they seem to really enjoy the album. So I'm happy to hear that. I mean, fans seem to enjoy it. It's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy it and not BSing you. So there's that. So I've heard you describe the new record as Extreme 2.0. Could you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, I think Gary described it as Pornograffiti 2.0, but because he just thought that, I don't know, there was elements that reminded us of the kind of the hunger from that album and, the passion and the fire that was on the Pornograffiti album. But that was really the comparisons, but they really don't sound a lot like each other.
How would you say it's different doing music today versus when you guys started out early on, like the writing and recording process?
Well, I mean, most of the time it would be a really definitive period where we'd get together in a studio or rehearsal space to write an album, or write it, record it, or write it on the road. I think with this, because of the span that it was in, and geographically, it was the biggest change because we were always in one coast at least, or in one town, And I think with me living in Los Angeles and the other guys living on the East Coast, it was more like you flew in. We never really did anything long distance, but so you'd fly in, stay at my house, studio up here, and then we'd record and then go back and do another 2 songs, that kind of thing. So definitely a different approach, but semi the same, same vibe.
Mm-hmm. So Extreme, you guys have managed to stay together as a unit for so many years. What would you attribute to that longevity?
I think, a lot of love and hate, which is necessary for a long-term relationship. I think, having a marriage, a 4-way marriage, a 2-way marriage is enough. 4-way, good luck with that. It's one of those things where, in your brothers you fight, and you kind of gotta love somebody enough to hate them, right? At times. And I think, we just always come back to the mothership, which is Extreme, knowing, even though we do other projects and me with Rihanna, etc., I think you always end up coming back to what was your beginnings and what started you, which was Extreme, as I refer to it as the mothership.
Do you have a favorite track on here to perform live, or one that you're most looking forward to playing live on the road off the new record?
We've been playing, we've been doing in a few shows. We've been doing Rise and Banshee and #Rebel. So I'm looking forward to doing those, but maybe adding 2 more. There's so many we want to play. That's the thing that sucks about doing a new album. And you can add a lot of new songs, and I'm sure fans want to hear that, but at the same time, they get upset with you that you don't play the old stuff. So it's a delicate balance, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's always that band who won't play their big hit, like Radiohead or something. And I don't
Yeah.
get that. But then you want to, play the new stuff too.
Yeah, but I think they just don't play their big hit because they never liked that song and they wished it wasn't it, which is really dumb
Good
because
point.
that's really dumb that what got I'm a big Radiohead fan and it'd be like us playing More Than Words and saying, okay, we're never going to play it again. And I think you have to embrace what got you there. And if the fans love that song, and by the way, you recorded it and put it in an album, if it was that embarrassing, you should have never put it on in the first place.
For sure. Yep. No, I definitely agree on
And
that.
it's a killer song. Creep is one of my favorite Radiohead tunes.
Yeah,
Always
I know,
been.
me too. That whole record I really like. I don't think they like that record at all that it's on
I,
actually.
yeah, that's a shame because lyrically, Creep is one of the best lyrics he's ever written,
Hmm.
and even the song is a perfect song, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, I read that it hit you hard when Eddie Van Halen passed away. So, do you feel now kind of like the need to help keep the rock guitar alive and cool and stuff now that a lot of these guitar greats are passing?
I mean, there's still a lot of great players. There's still a lot of great players around. I think, um, I was always doing this record as it was and this album as it was, but it definitely, when Eddie did pass, I definitely felt a bit more of a responsibility almost to try and keep that at least keep the torch burning, Nobody's going to take Edward's throne ever. Somebody said that to me, man, you're the heir to that throne. I'm like, nobody's the heir to that throne. Never will be. It's Edward, and most people would be playing the way they are, including myself, if it wasn't for him. So, but at the very least, we hope he's smiling down with this new album going, you know what? You done good, kid. Keep it going.
What's next for Extreme? Do you guys have another album on the way? I'm guessing eventually.
Well, I mean, look, we just put this one out, right? A few
Right.
days ago. So, and it took us 15 years to get to that one. Uh, but I would say, look, I would say we definitely are on the flow to not let that happen again. We're already talking about, as we're on tour, writing the next album as opposed to waiting till after the tour. So I think we'll have something for sure.
Oh, that's good. No, people will be happy that it's not going to take, 1.5 decades for the next record.
No, we'll try to we'll try to get there in 13 years instead of 15 this time.
Cool. And you mentioned More Than Words. Of course, that's still one of your most recognizable hits and one of the most recognizable rock ballads of all time. What do you think it is about that track that people related so much?
More Than Words. Look, I mean, it was when the song is a hit, it's a hit, and we didn't write it as a hit. There was no acoustic ballads out at that time. Um, and I think there was a lot of power ballads, the bands that we loved, like Def Leppard and a lot of the rock and metal stuff, they're all big power ballads and big productions. And I think it was just the right time of a refreshing, going back to like mid 70s with James Taylor and the Everly Brothers and things like that in the 60s where, just playing an acoustic and hearing that on the radio was almost shocking to that generation. And I think it really struck a chord emotionally, with the fact that the song wasn't a love song. It was almost like an anti-love song in the way of like, saying I love you is just, they're just words, right? Everybody says that, so I think showing somebody, I think people really connected with that.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Have you ever seen the Jimmy Fallon and Jack Black recreation to the skit?
Of course, how can we not?
What did you
Yeah.
think? Did you laugh or think it was funny?
How can you look? Two things happen. You think it's funny, but you're also super honored. Some people think that, oh, those guys made funny. I'm like, no. When somebody does that, it's the greatest honor you could have of a parody of something, taking the time to dress what you wore, copy the video, do the song, and literally imitate you. That's the biggest form of iconic flattery you can ever get. It was a real honor, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. I'd be totally honored if someone, did something like that. So that's great. So do you feel like rock and metal music has more in common with, pop, hip hop, R&B than people often think? Because, obviously you also are the guitarist with Rihanna.
I think musically, people that play instruments, you should be able to, with Rihanna, you play like reggae, R&B, pop, club, dance stuff, and um, I think, you know, it's at the end of the day, arrangements and song arrangements of pop, R&B, rock, everything else, it stayed the same. It's a verse, chorus, you get a bridge. And if you have a guitar player, you do. If not, it's just you do an out chorus and go. It's like that with all genres across the board since the beginning of time. So there's a lot of, it's relevant to each other there. They all kind of, now the different feels and stuff, not all guitar players, not all drummers, everybody can play all those different feels. Even in my genre of rock, I'm not sure that Slash loves playing reggae or pop songs or R&B, right? But for
Mhm.
me, I think because of my background with Extreme and how we always were very diverse to begin with musically, it suited me. So it worked out.
What's like the biggest thrill, I guess, about being Rihanna's guitarist and being out there on her tours?
I mean, look, it's Rihanna, first of all, right? She's a massive artist
Totally.
and she's super cool to hang with. And, the shows were ridiculous, the audiences and and it was amazing. Like I got to take, when they first wanted me to do it, when she first wanted me and Tony Bruno to do it, I was like, why? There's no guitar on this stuff. But they said, well, that's why we want you to do it, and rock it out. And I said, well, I get to be me, right? Fully my same sound. And they go, yep. So that was really cool. It was really cool to destroy some of those songs with you know, but honestly, play songs like iconic and songs like Umbrella and things and add big guitars to it and all that. That was really cool. That was pretty interesting.
You played at the Super Bowl, right? When she was there?
What, you didn't see me on the screen for 1.5 milliseconds?
I thought that was you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the band didn't get a lot of love on TV, but yeah, we did do the show. Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like? It had to be a trip.
Yeah, look, it was a trip for many reasons. One is, the halftime show is iconic, right? To be a part of it, and rehearse in the stadium and all that, and be a part of that history. And also I'm a big football fan, so that was even iconic for me. Just the fact that the teams that were playing and being part of NFL and all that it was a big bucket list moment for me for sure.
What's your team? Your NFL team?
Um, I'm a Patriots fan, of course. We don't win many champions.
I'm a
Just
Lions
one more.
fan, so I'm hoping that we
Oh
actually
my
did
God,
okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know my
I,
whole life we've never won, but last season we actually
I
started
know. And
winning.
then you
So
have, what's his face goes and wins in one season with the
Stafford.
Rams. Yeah. But you know what? I've always looked, and plus you had one of the greatest running backs of all time, and then he left early. I mean, you guys have had quite the history.
Hmm.
But it'll come. It's coming.
I hope so.
Everybody kind of wants to see the Lions win now. You know what I mean? It's due time.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel like people all over wanting the lifelong underdogs to finally win. Name your favorite Extreme song to play live and your favorite Rihanna song to play live.
Huh. I think one of the ones that has been a staple of ours, and I think always feels like, if somebody says to me, you get one song to play for fans to really describe, different elements of Extreme, one song, it'd probably be Get the Funk Out. Uh, for Rihanna, man, there was so many cool tunes. Um, I used to love we did a song called Rockstar on tour where I got to really be like back to back with her, and we did some great stuff together. And it was a really heavy tune. It was called Rockstar. It was very rock guitar driven. So that was always a fun one to perform with her.
Oh, it's been awesome chatting. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, listen, you're the boss. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what's next? I know you've got the tour on the way and stuff, but looking in the future for both your outside projects and Extreme, what is next for you?
Look, I think right now it's touring really, right? We start touring in August in the States, and then we get dates in Australia, Asia in September, then UK, Europe in November, and then kick back up, 2024 and maybe, start doing some other dates. So it's really just finally, celebrating this album, right? For now.
Awesome. Well, cannot wait to see you guys live. So definitely hope you hit Detroit.
Great. We will. As a matter of fact, I think we're doing it on this run. So yeah, hope to see you. Come to the show. Say hey.
Nuno from Extreme, thanks for being a great guest on my show. And you're welcome back anytime. Wow, I feel really special that the day after his surgery, he's on the phone doing an interview with me. I hope that you're doing well, Nuno. Best wishes to you. And yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully everything heals up quickly and you can get back to normal and doing all of the live stuff that you always do. But definitely really dig their new record, 6. Check that out. It is great from front to back. As they say, it's all killer, no filler, and really good stuff. And also, if you are a fan of Rihanna, check Nuno out on tour with her whenever she hits the road. I have no idea if she has tour dates coming up. Probably not, because I know she's a new mom. But whenever he's back out with her, check that out. What a cool guy. Very just knowledgeable about music. And I really like that exchange that we had about Radiohead, because it's cool to find someone else who is a Radiohead fan who's also a metalhead, if that makes sense. But all right. Well, don't forget that if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, shame on you. Do it right now. Just search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next show featuring the biggest names in rock and metal music. And reach out to me on social media. I promise I don't bite. Find me on Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Ann. Head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. Itsmeanne.com to link up on all my social media. Check out my content up there. And for my private content, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Anne Autumn, which you can find the link in the show description. And finally, before I go, I do want to let you know that I've got new stuff coming out with Upon Wings and with my solo projects. So link up with me on social media and I'll keep you posted on all of that. And I really hope that you dig it, because this came from my heart as always, some personal experiences that I've been through. I wrote about in the lyrics and I put to, melodies, and it was really good for me to get this stuff out, and I hope that you enjoy it. So check that out. All right. Well, have a great one. Be safe. God bless. And we'll rock soon. It's Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.